Local 5 is proud to bring you the times of food, all the fun, and great times from the supper clubs across Northeast Wisconsin. The Dish on Wisconsin Supper Clubs presents A Christmas Dish, presented by
Appleton Retirement Community and Bayside Machine Corporation.
Now your host, Local 5 news anchor and supper club enthusiast, Michelle McCormack.
The holidays are here, and we're enjoying time with family and friends over a home-cooked supper. And you know us here at Local 5. We just love to dish on Wisconsin supper clubs. It might not be sugar plums dancing, but a legendary dessert that's always on my mind when I check in for supper at the Union Hotel in De Pere.
I love it. I love doing what I do. You know, I always say it's in my blood, what I have. I did teach high school for 15 years down in Wrightstown. My dad always wanted all us kids to go out and do something else. This would always be here. And then I felt the time was right for me to come in to take the operation over.
McKim Boyd is keeping traditions that his family started when they purchased the historic Union House Hotel in De Pere in 1918. That was 1 year before the Packers football team was formed, and legends of the game used to stay and eat here, and many of the recipes they feasted on remain.
The rolls that we make each day are great-grandma's recipe, so those go back to 1918. A number of the pies probably go back into the 30s, 40s, 50s, you know, that we make. The Sham Tort recipe, that's something we've been doing for, I'm going to say probably the 40s that we started doing that, and it's also very popular.
This is our short ribs, just keeping them nice and warm and all in their sauce.
The backbone of the menu remains steaks, which they hand-cut daily, and seafood with fresh shipments at least 2 to 3 times a week.
For our family, it is about family, not just our family. I happen to be 4th generation. We have the 5th generation working tonight, actually. But it's also about our customers' family. We feel they're part of our family. We've got 2, 3, 4, and even 5 generation customers that come through the Union Hotel. We'd like them to feel like they're coming into our home and we're actually entertaining for the evening.
They've also preserved the look of the place.
So these were custom built tables, solid as a rock. It's just incredible how they built it.
And what's the year again?
1883.
Really?
on these 2 tables.
I mean, they are solid.
Yeah. Yep, isn't that amazing?
Wow.
Yeah, they built things solid. Even the chairs themselves we picked up from a restaurant back in the 40s that had gone out of business. This was actually a drinking fountain that was put in 1883 in our front lobby, and it would have been what's called a bubbler. In 1932, when we did the significant remodel, they repurposed it, and then now just use it for filling up pitchers of water. On the wallpaper itself is another story. That was put up in 1962, and the gentleman that put it up helped his father's company put it up. He was a student over at St. Norbert College, and about 5 years ago it was in disrepair, and he said we can repair it. He owned the company now.
You're gonna want to spend some time here because stories abound in this place, especially how they finally got the garden to grow.
My mother, when she passed, way premature, in that little drive she was always trying to plant flowers in there. Nothing ever took. So when she passed, we decided to do a little memorial garden for her out there, and we found out why nothing grew. There was no soil back there. She was trying to pot inside of ash.
Of course, McKim is a bit of a legend himself for his tie collection, some of which is on display in the booth room. Although I got to see even more of his collection in what used to be the still room.
The black in the floor down there, that's actually soot from the still that was in this particular room, and there was a chimney in there, and that's where my great aunt made her home brew, is what it was referred to as. And we stayed out of trouble as long as we didn't send the man of the home drunk to the family. That was kind of the unwritten rule that we had back then.
McKim, like everyone else in his family, worked his way up from gopher to dishwasher to bartender. That's him as a teenager. Now nephew Sam has the honors.
It's kind of been instilled in me to take care of it, be the next part of the generation, help out everybody, and keeps you going when you realize that I'm also part of this tradition, bringing it forward.
Union Hotel.
The Union Hotel is a popular spot for Christmas where they spare no expense with the festive decorations. When we come back,
we could count on like our busy time being from like 6 to 8, and now it seems like we're opening the doors and they're lined up.
We'll check in with our friends in Kewanee to see how the wildflower has blossomed. For the past 2 years, Local 5 has introduced you to the families and small business owners who have carried on the tradition of a familiar club-like atmosphere when folks sit down for supper. One of our first visits was at the Wildflower Supper Club in Kewanee that has blossomed ever since.
It's just so Wisconsin, and we just love everything Wisconsin.
The gang's all here, from the chasers to the supper club enthusiasts and those familiar orange cones. Along with the legendary acoustic version of the Johnny Wad Band. Wow, has the Wildflower Supper Club grown.
Before we could count on like our busy time being from like 6 to 8, and now it seems like we're opening the doors and they're lined up.
One-time caterer Cassie Jelinek and her musician husband were unsure what would happen when they purchased the historic building and COVID hit. But their perseverance, along with help from Cassie's uncle, Chef Adam, and his wife Angel, among other family, gave them the boost they needed to forge ahead. Soon, word of mouth had folks coming from far and wide.
We've really had a really broad spectrum of new people from so many different places, from Illinois, Minnesota, Michigan. We've had people from Florida, Alabama, and it's been amazing.
The coziness of the bar remains, but the Wildflower truly is blossoming with extra space to gather and a lot more plates coming out of the kitchen.
Oh, I'd say we're probably 4 times what we were when we first started, at least.
All right, New York strip right there, that's the gravy.
And Cassie came up with the idea to create this special space for occasions with larger groups that still wanted a friendly supper club feel.
For baby showers, anniversaries, smaller weddings, wedding rehearsals, private Packer parties during the winter time and Packer season. So just lots of different opportunities that we can adjust this room for your liking.
The Wildflower has always been a place to think outside the box with its sashimi and fresh fish offerings, but it respects what classic supper clubbers expect, from the relish tray to its award-winning soup, and a menu that changes 3 to 4 times a year with new specials every week.
One of the big ones that we've started doing is every other Saturday is a smoked or wood-fire grilled night. So you can come every other Saturday to get smoked prime rib, and then the other Saturday we're either doing ribs or we're doing like a wood-fire grilled ribeye, New York, prime cut, even tomahawks.
The Wildflowers is joining forces with Facebook and groups that share their dining experiences and becoming part of the Supper Club Guide, which offers discounts and is good for 2 years, have helped them ride the wave in this resurgence of this beloved tradition.
We were all born and raised here in Wisconsin. We loved going to supper clubs. We love having our family be a part of our businesses. We love being a part of the community. So we just think that this is the best way for us to showcase our talents and what we love to do. We love to feed people, we love to make them happy, and I don't know, it's just something we really enjoy. And
We've made it. We're here. We love it, and we're going to keep growing.
Coming up, some great ways to save if you're a supper clubber. Meet the creators of the Dining Destinations Guide. Why do you chase this way?
I thought, why don't we do something that is good for all of us?
Come in, relax, have a cocktail, have dinner, and enjoy yourself. Slow down.
When we come back. If there's a supper clubber in your house, we've got the perfect stocking stuffer. To Casco we go, where I caught up with the supper club chasers at Moxy's.
Oh my goodness, just moments after unlocking the doors, the bar is packed and the conversation lively at Moxy's Supper Club in Casco. That's because Jim and Michelle, otherwise known as the Supper Club Chasers, are here. They brought along their friends, including Evan Frymuth of Venture, Wisconsin, to unveil the brand new discount booklet they call the Wisconsin Supper Club's Dining Destinations Guide.
And inside has discounts or deals from all the 131 different supper clubs. We call them our partners. And each one of them created their own deal. When you add up all of the deals, you could easily pass up $1,500 value, and we're making it so affordable by selling it for $45. There are some deals in here that if you used it one time, it would pay for the guide.
Moxy's, home of roasted chicken, occasional polka, and summertime trout boils, is Supper Club 156 for the couple who started out casually sharing photos and stories on Facebook.
We put a lot of time into it, so it's become at least a part-time job.
But this is really going the extra mile. Why do you chase this way?
I thought, why don't we do something that is good for all of us?
This is one guide that goes above and beyond and includes a digital map that you can use with your phone.
But yeah, you can click through and find supper clubs based on where you live, where you travel, and you can get directions right to the spot you want to go. So I'm a millennial, I just turned 30, and I worked in 2 supper clubs in college. I worked with young people. And I have a ton of cousins that say they explore supper clubs, they have a list, they check them off as they go, and so, hopefully this will become their checklist.
The family that's been running Moxy since 1973 says they look forward to the new visitors the guide can bring in.
I can fit 60 in my dining room.
Okay.
So we do a lot of anniversaries, birthday parties. As a matter of fact, we have a baptism coming in this Saturday at noon. Leave the mess to us.
But be sure to spend some time at the bar, where server Allison really has a way around an old-fashioned cocktail.
It's my fun job. The busier you are, the more fun you have.
Oh yeah, and the stories about what the gold carpet really is all about on the ceiling.
It's like a sound barrier, and then there was a smoke barrier. And a Packer thing, too.
What do you mean the Packer thing, too?
Well, it's the gold.
Okay, it's Packer gold. Yeah. Okay, so now we have a third reason why there's a carpet for the
And then when new people came in, they were green, so they were green and gold.
Okay,
Why ask why? Just instead go with the flow. And just one more thing before we go.
And here's the exciting surprise. Inside of here, in this little slot, it's a membership card. So now you're part of the Wisconsin Supper Club, and we want everyone to be in the club.
And the discounts in the guide are good for 2 years. When we come back,
everyone has their own twist on it, whether it's adding a different spirit or a different ingredient.
What's new about the old-fashioned cocktail? Welcome back to the Christmas Dish on Wisconsin Supper Club's Local 5's award-winning 2-year-long running series about the family-spun small business tradition that makes our state so special. Supper usually always starts with a cocktail and conversation, and recently there was some spirited conversation about what spirit should be in your old-fashioned.
Personal favorite is always going to be that brandy sweet.
I'm a bourbon guy. I love bourbon.
I'm still going with the smoke. That's the best one so far.
You could just call it a supper clubber's dream. The recent old-fashioned fest at the Resch Expo, celebrating the tradition of this Wisconsin cocktail in some ways while stretching the boundaries in others.
I have a vodka and a gin. I also have a rye and a bourbon.
Brand Ambassador Jada Washington was representing Castle and Key out of Kentucky. Apparently, distilleries from across the country have come to appreciate Wisconsin cocktail fans' adoration of a good spirit.
We take pride in it. Everyone came to try the old fashions, and everyone has their own twist on it, whether it's adding a different spirit or a different ingredient, and kind of figuring out what you like best, and then being able to go home and make it your own.
Stevens Point-based TikTok influencer Michelle Schultz-Wilson specializes in supper clubs. She says many share the common wisdom of why brandy is the spirit of choice in Wisconsin.
So back in the 1890s at the Chicago World's Fair, all the Wisconsinites flooded down to Chicago to try the brandy, and they all just brought it back. So from the Chicago World's Fair, that's where brandy became, just completely took off.
And Corbell credits a catchy jingle in the 60s with keeping the good times and the brandy rolling.
Corbell brandy, a nickel a drink more and worth it. And for whatever reason, that really resonated in Wisconsin.
But in this new age of mixology, folks are mixing it up quite a bit.
This one is a bourbon, this one's a brandy, and this one's a cherry.
When they make the old-fashioned, they put some smoke in it, so it gives it kind of that more bitter flavor. It's amazing.
My favorite ones are the ones like with the traditional mix, no soda, with the cherry in it and the orange around the rim. Just has that perfect flavor profile.
If it's no soda, is it really an old-fashioned?
It is. There's many, as you can see here tonight, there are many different ways you can make an old-fashioned.
I had no idea what an old-fashioned was until I got married, went to my wife's father's house, and he made everyone old-fashions, and I was hooked ever since.
Brandy, bourbon, whatever you put in your concoction, it's not so much the spirit in the old-fashioned as much as it is the memories attached to every sip.
I think it's just this whole phenomenon, again, of supper clubs and people reminding themselves of going with their grandparents and having these old fashions with their families, and it's just completely taken off.
Everyone loves a good old-fashioned. It's just, it makes you happy. You know, it kind of just hits the spot. So it's really an amazing drink.
Hold up, some claim the Martini's given the old-fashioned a run for its money.
Martinis and Manhattans, particularly straight-up Martinis, have made quite the comeback over the last 2 or 3 years, which is interesting. When I started bartending about 50 years ago, that was the drink, Martinis and Manhattans. We actually sold very few old-fashions 50 years ago.
That's next. Welcome back to the Christmas Dish on Wisconsin Supper Clubs, where some claim the Martini has given the old-fashioned cocktail a run for its money.
Obviously, as far as cocktails, the old-fashioned is quite popular. Martinis and Manhattans, particularly straight-up Martinis, have made quite the comeback over the last 2 or 3 years, which is interesting. When I started bartending about 50 years ago, that was the drink, Martinis and Manhattans. We actually sold very few old-fashions 50 years ago. I bartended 13 years old. I had just become a teenager, and they said, we're going to put you behind the bar.
And
so
do
I
you
made
remember what you made?
Martinis and Manhattans all afternoon long.
All right, a gin martini, vodka martini?
Gin was the thing of choice back then.
So you will still make a gin martini?
Oh yeah,
from time to
oh
time?
yeah, definitely. Primarily vodka.
Look at that kid. What would you tell him now?
I would say it's been a great ride.
I love it.
Yeah. 54 years ago. So
fabulous.
That was pretty cool.
Okay.
I was a little shorter.
All this talk about making special cocktails got me thinking about that Christmas Eve tradition at Simpsons in Wapaka. Here now is the one-time customers turned owners.
I have been coming here since I can remember. Christmas Eve is a big deal at this restaurant. Everyone comes in, has Tom and Jerry's, and we all party together. So my family did that with the Simpsons. It starts with a batter with some delicious ingredients. Cinnamon, nutmeg, I would say, is the base, and it's an egg batter. So when you add hot water to it, it kind of poofs up like a souffle type of thing. And so it's this, oh, and the liquor, of course. And it's very strong, but it just has this lovely Christmas holiday feel.
You can only get it
Christmas Eve.
I think that's where it starts, our great bar, our great cocktails. You know, Simpsons does mean a lot to Wapaka, Wisconsin, and the surrounding area, which is it's a really good feeling to be a part of it.
All right. So are you guys going to run the supper club, or do you already?
I think I am already.
Hats off to the next generation of supper clubbers. And all the supper clubs I've visited offer non-alcoholic versions so everyone can feel included. Cheers to that. Thank you for watching. Until next time, consider yourself served. I can get closer. Is that easy? Is that better?
Either way is fine. Okay, we're good. Go ahead again.
You don't mind explaining the first name a little bit?
Great-great-grandfather's exact same name. Nope, we lost our light. Hope the battery didn't die.
Michelle! How are you? You guys don't mind if you show up on Local 5, do you?
Let's be on the birthday.
Did you get that?
Local 5 was proud to bring you
The dish on Wisconsin Supper Club's A Christmas Dish. Presented by Appleton Retirement Community and Bayside Machine Corporation. Thank you for watching.